अक्षय, विनीत, अविनाश. I think my question is not clear. I am asking, ये जो सोल वर्ड है, सोल, आत्मा, रीइंकार्नेशन, पुनर्जन्म, ये वर्ड पहले कभी सुना है आपने? सुना है तो कहाँ सुना है? Some movie, some serial, some book, or from some people, or from some scripture. क्या हो गया, कोई रिप्लाई नहीं कर रहा? डर गए क्या आत्मा वर्ड सुन के? ठीक है, एनीवेज, but surely you all might have heard somewhere, right? Even if you might not be able to remember the source, but you might have heard somewhere about soul. So we all have heard and at some point of our life about soul or reincarnation. But hardly ever people try to discuss about these things scientifically. Generally, what we see, like there are many movies where they use this reincarnation, पुनर्जन्म की काफी सारी movies है पुनर्जन्म के ऊपर. But there, the focus is not on Punarjanam. The focus is on the story. That means some love story or some revenge or some heartbreaking story. So the focus is on story, and reincarnation is just used as a tool, as a background. So generally, if you ask some people कि पुनर्जन्म होता है क्या? Is it real or fact? Is it a fact or it's just a fantasy? So mostly people will have very hazy idea. They will not be clear कि पुनर्जन्म होता है कि नहीं होता है. हमने movies में तो देखा है, but we can't say whether it happens or not. Or some people, what they have idea is कि this reincarnation happens with specific people. Okay, in movies also we see कि जो hero heroine है उनका ही reincarnation हुआ सिर्फ. And many times we even see that the hero or whatever the actor is, he is having the same appearance as that was in his previous life. पिछले जन्म में जैसा दिखता था वैसा ही अगले जन्म में भी दिखता है. So is that all true or not? Is reincarnation and soul, it is a fact or it is just fantasy? We will try to discuss in three ways. We'll try to understand logically, we'll try to understand scientifically, experimentally, and we'll try to understand what the scriptures say about that. Okay. So after attending this session, I'm sure that you will have a concrete idea whether it happens or not, it doesn't happen. You will not have some hazy idea कि ठीक है मेरे को लगता है होता है, but you will have a clear cut, very precise idea whether it happens or not. Okay. So moving ahead, with the first and very basic question in our life, and that question is, who are you? So this is a very basic question of life. Suppose if I ask you this question, who are you? What will you say? Akshay, what will you say? Who are you? It's a funny question. I'm asking Akshay. I'm telling his name, but I'm still asking who are you? But who is Akshay? Like, or who is Vineet? Who is Ashish? Who is Avinash? What are we actually? Like when we say that I am Snehil, who is Snehil? So that is the question. Who am I? मैं कौन हूँ? So please give your responses. What do you feel? Who are you? Who is this? He has written directly soul. अच्छा, Vineet has written soul. Any other ideas? Who are we? मैं कौन हूँ? आप कौन हो? There is a difficult question to and difficult to answer this question. Yeah, it's true. It's very difficult to answer this question. We can have multiple answers, right? Like someone may say that I am an Indian. Like I was having this seminar like face to face, not on using Zoom. So I asked people that who are you? I just told people to stand up and I just asked that person that who are you? So some people said that I'm Indian. Some people said that I'm a human being. Some people said that I'm a boy. Someone said I'm a girl. Someone said I'm a student of this so and so college. Someone said I'm a engineer at so and so uh, organization. Right. So that's what answers I got. But then suppose if someone says that I'm a boy, but nowadays we have such a technology in medical science that you can completely change the gender of a person. Okay, you can completely by some manipulation of hormones, you can transform a male into a female and female into a male. So is it really true that I am a male? Because it can be changed, gender can be changed, right? So um, what is my permanent identity? If I say that I'm an Indian, okay, but we can take permanent residency in some other country also, right? We can take a residency in America or any other country. If I say that I am a human being, but after dying, after death happens, we are no longer human beings after death, right? We become something else. We don't know what we become, but surely we don't remain human being, right? So that means being a human is also not our permanent identity. What to speak of being a college student? After few years, we change the college, right? Or we get graduated. So whatever designations you take, all of them are temporary. It's not that you are not a human, you are not a male, or you are not a college student, but they're temporary identification. Temporary. But what is my permanent identification? That's what is the main question. What is my identity which never changes? Okay. So that is the question, who are you? Someone may point like someone point that I'm this. He won't say anything, he would just say I'm this. Okay, I'm this. But when he's pointing that I'm this, he's pointing towards his chest. So are you your chest? Are you your hand? Are you your face? Because we generally what we say that this is my hand, this is my face, these are my hairs. Inside there is my heart. Okay. So just like I will say that this is my mobile and I am different from this mobile. Similarly, I may say this is my hand, but that doesn't mean that I am this hand. This hand is separate from me and it belongs to me. Okay. Similarly, this is my body, but this body belongs to me, but I am something separate from this body, right? Because people can transplant whatever organs they want, but still the person doesn't change. Okay. We'll go into much deeper. We'll discuss more about all these things as we proceed ahead. But who are we? That is the basic question we should ask. So if we think that we are a body, then this is what we are. Body comprises of 5 pounds of calcium, 1.5 pounds of phosphate, 9 ounces of potassium, वगैरह वगैरह. So if you add all these things, ये सारी जो भी चीजें हैं इनको आप add करते हो, and you calculate what is your cost. Okay. If I say that I am this body, that means I am worth only 110 rupees. मतलब मेरा जो अस्तित्व है वो सिर्फ 110 रुपए का है. If someone pays me 110 rupees, then I should become his property, right? Because I am this body, and my body, all the components of this body, they are just worth 110 rupees. And that's not what I am saying. This is Dr. Harry Munson, he is saying, professor of anatomy. So that means we are worth 110 rupees. But if I tell you that, if I tell your parents that I will give you 110 rupees and your son is my property, will they accept such a proposal? Just imagine, like recently I was reading somewhere, just came across how much is the cost of our eye transplant. Eye transplant. I'm not talking about the whole body. I'm just talking about our eyes. Okay. Okay. So I was shocked to see that the eye transplant operation takes 90,000 rupees. How much? 90,000 something, 98,000 something like that. That is the cost of transplanting just our eyes, which is a very small organ as compared to the whole body. So, by this we understand we are not just this body. If we limit ourselves to just this body, we have a very cheap existence, right? So that shows that we are something more precious than this body. Okay. So don't you feel we are more than chemicals which constitute this body? Then what is our real identity? We'll see further examples. Like this is a very famous actress. So chemicals are same. Like even when she was alive, she was having the same body, and after she died also, there was the same body, same chemicals and everything. But if I tell you that you will meet such and such actress and you will get to have a you will get to have a personal dinner with her, then you'll be very happy. Like you'll feel very much prestige, very much what we can say, elated that you are getting to meet such an exalted personality, such a beautiful personality. But if suppose after she dies and then I tell you that you will get an appointment with her, how many of you will agree to that? Hardly anyone will agree. But why not agree? Body is the same, right? And we are this body, so body is the same. So after death, what is the difference? But we see why we will not try to meet such a person after death, because there are no feelings, no thinking, no desires, no movement, and most importantly, no consciousness. So after a person dies, body remains there, but there is no consciousness. So that gives us an indication that we are the source of a consciousness. Because just like we have discussed in our last seminar, that after someone dies, what we call that वो तो चल बसे, right? चल बसे. But कौन चल बसा? Body तो वहीं पर. I'm able to see the body there only. Then who went away? That means that so and so person, Mr. Patil, suppose Mr. Patil. I'm just please don't feel offended if any one of you related to some. I just took some example. Mr. XYZ, he चल बसे वो तो. That means Mr. XYZ was not the body. He was the consciousness. He was the source of consciousness. So surely we can understand that we are not the body very clearly. We are something beyond the body. So what are we? The answer we get from Bhagavad Gita. For the soul, there is neither birth nor death at any time. He has not come into being and does not come into being. These are very confusing statements, but once we get more accustomed to all this knowledge, everything will be very clear to us. He is unborn, eternal, ever existing, and always eternal. So this is all from Bhagavad Gita, second chapter, second verse. So we are not this body, we are soul. Now you will say कि ये क्या soul soul लगा के रखा है, ये तो अंधविश्वास है, right? आत्मा आत्मा कुछ नहीं होता, ये सब अंधविश्वास है. But if we keep our understanding very limited, we will feel like that. But if we try to analyze about soul, which we will do in our session, we will come to know that it is a very scientific concept of soul. So if we analyze what is the difference between body and soul, and when I'm saying soul, it's not that I'm discussing about some object. Soul is some object. It's not a separate object. When I'm saying soul, I'm saying myself, me, or you. Like you can think about you. So soul, by this term soul, I'm referring to the actual person. Okay. So the body, first of all, we need to be very clear with this understanding. And if we are not clear, we should ask questions. With that, we are not the body, we are soul, and this body belongs to the soul. Just like this laptop belongs to me, similarly, this body also belongs to me. That doesn't mean that I'm this laptop or I'm this body. Okay. We'll understand it with further more evidences, but just to accept this as a basic understanding, that body is made up of matter. So what is soul made up of? Soul is made up of spirit. Body has no consciousness. Just like if a person dies, there is no consciousness. But soul is conscious. Body changes, but soul does not change. Body is temporary. Today we are here, tomorrow we can't say what will happen to us. But soul is eternal. Eternal means permanent. So as I was discussing with you that what is our permanent identity? Who are we actually? So as we discussed that, um, okay, fine, no problem, Ashish. You can us later tomorrow. So as we were discussing that we have so many identities, but all of these identities are temporary. Now we are human, now we are Indian, now we are a male, but we can change that identity. So that is a temporary identity. But now we discuss that soul is eternal. That means our identity as soul is permanent. So if someone asks you, who are you? Then the permanent identity will be that I am soul. And what is that soul like? What is the characteristic of that soul? That will come to see as the way proceed. So as we can see here in this background image, that a person is born, he grows up, he becomes a young man, he becomes middle aged, then he becomes old, his body dwindles, and finally the body is what all remains is just a skeleton of the body. But so that shows that body is temporary, but we are not temporary. We are eternal. We are permanent. Okay. Body is dead and we are alive. Soul is alive. So we'll give this analogy that the body that you see in the mirror is just like a device. For example, like many times I have seen that people, like when they are in a traffic, then like sometimes in Bombay we can see this that there is a very big line of all the cars lining standing in a line, and they are just pushing the horn, blowing the horn कि जल्दी चलो लेट हो रहा है. And then if suppose someone is sitting in a car and there is another person in front of him sitting in a auto, so what will this person in the car address that person in the auto as? Hey auto, जल्दी चल आगे. Hey auto, आगे बढ़. Right? He'll say like this. Does that mean that the person ahead of him is an auto? No, right? He is not auto, he is inside auto. But when we refer to someone, sometimes we refer like कि ए auto चलो आगे बढ़ो. But auto is just a vehicle. inside which that person is sitting. Similarly, this body is also like a vehicle inside which we are sitting, as we can see in this image. So we are soul, the real driver of the bodily car. So there are two point of views. One point of view is that material viewpoint. See, this is very important technical word, not technical, but this is very important terminology which we will be using in our further discussions also. Material viewpoint, spiritual viewpoint. So, spiritual viewpoint doesn't mean कि something esoteric, something विश्वास और धर्म इन सब के बारे में बताया जा रहा है. Spiritual viewpoint simply means that we understand that we are not this body, rather we are something beyond this body, and that term used for that is soul. So it is a very like normal term. Spiritual viewpoint means that we are not this body, we are soul. And material viewpoint means that we are this body. So material viewpoint, and like it's not like you may say ki most of the people in this world they believe that we are this body. So that doesn't mean that that is the only reality. Okay, that is just a point, just a viewpoint. Similarly, there are many people who believe that we are not this body, we are soul. So that is another viewpoint, that is spiritual viewpoint. So what is the material viewpoint? Material viewpoint means that we are bodies made up of matter. We are no more than a chemical bundle. Everything is finished at the time of death. Now, what is spiritual viewpoint? Spiritual viewpoint says that we are not the material body with flesh and bones. We are spirit soul engaged in the material body. And we do not die when material body stops functioning. So which viewpoint is correct? Which viewpoint is wrong? The like if we use this criteria because everyone believes in material viewpoints, that is right. That is a very foolish viewpoint because just that everyone believes in that, that doesn't make something as the ultimate fact. We have to understand scientifically because like as you might have heard that many of the scientists when they came up with their scientific discoveries, for example Edison, Thomas Alva Edison, so when he came up with this idea that we can have a bulb which we can glow anytime, so because it was a new idea and throughout the world people were unaware of this idea, people used to laugh at him that कि क्या है ऐसे थोड़ी होता है, ऐसे बिजली से लाइट थोड़ी चलती है, right? So if not 100%, that 99% of people thought that it is not possible to have such a source of light, right? But this one person or a group of persons, they had this faith that no, we can do this, and now we can see that now everyone is able to get benefited by that. So this majority belief, minority belief, it keeps on changing. It is not a permanent thing. Now, earlier people used to think that as a light bulb ho nahi sakta. But now if you tell someone ki no, I don't believe in this light bulb, people will laugh at that person, right? So this majority people believe in this. So this is right. That is a very foolish idea because that majority minority keeps on changing. So that should not be our fundamental foundation of our faith. The fundamental foundation of our faith should be intelligence. We should intelligently think that which viewpoint makes more sense, right? So these are the two viewpoints which are there generally in this world. So we already discussed this that just like we don't become the car when we drive the car. Similarly, we don't become this body, but we are just driving this body. So just like this car has different parts of it, similarly our body also has different parts. So just like the car has its front lights, similarly we have our eyes. Car has its sound system. We also have our sound system, that is our speech. Car has carburetor which gives energy. We have our heart which gives energy. Cars have wheels. We have legs. So from this we can understand that our body is just an instrument, just like car. Just like car has different parts, so we also have different parts. So we have 3 minutes remaining. I will tell you one very nice experiment which was performed by a very famous scientist. I don't remember the name of scientist, but if I get the like proper name and details, I will surely convey to you. But I'll discuss the experiment which he performed, and in between, if you have any questions, you can ask. You can ask, or else after 2 minutes, we will just end the session. So there was an experiment conducted by one medical scientist, and he took a person, and what he did was he put various appliances on his body, various sensors, and he applied a sensor on his forehead, and that sensor could measure his brain waves, his brain waves. So that scientist he told that person to raise his hand, okay, to raise his hand. So when that scientist told that person, you raise your hand. So that person raised his hand. And when that person told you drop the hand, he dropped the hand. And that scientist, he measured the brain waves. He properly took a note of all of that, recorded that. And then later they have such a nice gadgets that he could actually simulate the same brain waves. So what he did, he applied some motor, something like that, say signal system, and through that signal system, that scientist gave the same signals to his brain, that person's brain. And as soon as he gave the signal, the man's hand raised up and then again dropped down. Then again he gave the same signal which he observed in the brain waves. Again his hand went up and again he dropped it down. So then this scientist he asked this question to this person in about the first case, that in the first case, did you raise your hand? So that person said, yes, I raised my hand. And then in the second experiment, he asked him, did you raise your hand? That person said that I didn't raise my hand, you raised my hand. Again he asked. So he said, no, no, I didn't get any feelings of raising my hand. It just raised up and it dropped down. So from this experiment, he understood, we can understand that body is just a machine, but we are the controller of the body and we are soul. So with this, we will end. If suppose someone has any questions, we will again rejoin. For 2 minutes, we'll rejoin, we'll remain connected. And if there is no question, no comment, we'll just end after 2 minutes of rejoining. So thank you very much for a very valuable time. If you have any questions, you can rejoin the meeting. And once again, happy Diwali to all of you.